Hi, so this is going to be a Mississippi John Hurt song on one of his standards called Stagger Lee. Even though he didn't write it, I guess a lot of people do end up associating the song with him. So I think it goes by a sort of assortment of names. Stagger Lee is, I think, the name that the record company gave to the song when he recorded it in 28. But I know it's also been called Stagger Lee, Stagger Lee as one word, and Billy Lyons and Stagger Lee. So anyways, this is his version on the song. I've got my guitar kind of capoed up in this segment of the video on the 3rd fret and the following segment of the video on the 2nd fret, but regardless of that, just make sure your guitar is tuned to standard tuning and you'll be good to go. I'm just doing this so that the string tension is a bit lower on my guitar. So what I'll do is just play it once and then we'll get into what he plays and how he plays it. Alright, so to get Stagger Lee started, I got my guitar decently in tune, so hopefully it's close enough, but it'll start with a major D chord, except the way I think it might be best to be played is to play it a little differently than is usually played. That is with a middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, pointer on the 2nd fret of the top E. And the reason being for this, as you'll see in a minute, but we do a bunch of these hammer-ons. But you'll notice there that he hammers into the 1st fret of the top E string for the last one, and if you want to keep that option open to hammer into the minor 3rd, then if you finger this D chord the normal way, then you gotta change to D minor, which can be hard to do at high speeds, but if it works for you, then go ahead. But anyways, I'm gonna do it like this. And on the treble side, the way it goes is you hammer into that 2nd fret of top E string from the open. So open, hammering into the 2nd fret, into the 3rd fret of the B string. So a couple of those hammer-ons. 3 to be exact. Now, this 3rd fret of the B string is really important because virtually the entire song you'll have this ring finger planted there, so get used to it staying there. The only time it really comes off, I've noticed, is once during the 4 chord, which we'll get into in a bit, and then also for the 5 chord. 5 chord being that, the 4 chord being when he goes right there, then you take off that 3rd fret of the B string. But for the rest of it, you'll have that 3rd finger, ring finger planted. So 3 of those hammer-ons, then a couple more. So that last half was hammer-on, the same as we've been doing, and then open top E string, back to the 3rd fret of the B string, and then a hammer-on again. So, and then another hammer-on, but now into the 1st fret. So again, that's that last half. So full thing together. 3 of those hammer-ons, now the last half. Alright, now when you go to the G chord, I went through that pretty fast, but make sure you take your time with it. Now this is the G chord. Now, remember I was talking about this ring finger being planted. You'll see it's still planted here when I'm going to the 4 chord. It's planted here, and the only other finger that gets fretted is the 3rd fret of the bottom E string. So you got your ring finger and your middle finger probably fretted. Both of them on the 3rd frets. So on the treble side, the way the 4 chord goes is there. So it's pretty intuitive. You can probably pick it up on your own, but it'll be the top E string open into the 3rd fret of the B, and then again, and then open B string, and then open again, back to the 3rd fret, open E string, 3rd fret of the B, and then hammering into the 2nd fret of the top E. So throughout this song there are alternating bass lines, and I probably should have mentioned this, but for the 1 chord that we just finished, bass line will be on the A string going into the D string, both of them open. Now with these Mississippi John Hurt bass lines, I mean, I'm not really an expert at all with his style, but what I notice is that usually he mutes that first one a little bit and lets the second note that he alternates into ring out. So muted A string to a ringing out open D string. There's some propulsion that you can argue comes out of that. Now when you get into the 4 chord, the alternating bass lines will be on this 3rd fret of the bottom E to the open D string. So again with that muted first note, and then let that second note that you alternate into, in this case the open D string, ring out. So muted, ring out. Now with the treble side thrown in, excuse me, it sounds like with that transition from the 4 back to the 1, what's really important again is to let this 3rd finger stay planted. So once you get right back into that 3rd fret, even throughout this transition, see I'm going from the G back to the D. Get used to keeping this thing planted. So when you come back to the 1 again, like I just played, the treble side goes, so hammering into that 2nd fret to pick up where we last left off with the treble side, into the 3rd fret of the B, open E string to the 3rd fret. Now, this is a very common chord shape. Bar across the 2nd fret with your 1st finger, top 4 strings. Like that. Now, on the treble side, you'll be going fretting along with this bar, fret the 3rd fret of the top E string with your middle finger. Now we'll not be using that note right off the bat, but by fretting it, even if it's not being played and it's behind the note that's being played, you'll prepare it to be played. Now the note in front of it is going to be the 5th fret of the top E string. So as you can see, you've got 3 notes ready to go. This top one on the 5th fret, if you were to lift this off, this 3rd fret's now ready to go. And if you were to lift this off, you have it right at the bar ready to go. Now this is really useful because you can go from a major to a dominant 7 and toggle between the 6th chord and the dominant 7. Major 6 and dominant 7. But for today it'll just be pretty much how it sounds on the treble side. So again, it'll be a pull-off. Just sweep with your pointer finger, and pull off into that middle finger that's already ready to be played. Now by sweeping, you'll be catching a few of the other treble strings coming from that bar, but that's kind of the point, add some fatness, I guess. So play it nice and firmly, I guess. Now you'll get back into, remember this third fret B string with your ring finger is really integral. So once you finish that, get right back into that D chord shape and pluck that B string. And then do another one of those hammer-ons into the 2nd fret of the top E string. So, there, I finally got it. It's weird doing it without the bass line. But now if we add the bass line in, it'll be open A string to the 2nd fret of the D string, which is taken care of by that bar. So it'll be right back into the D. So right back into the D chord. And then you're all done. So that's pretty much Stagger Lee in a nutshell. Just take your time with it and eventually it'll come. I think the big thing is lining up, as always, the treble with the bass. But just watch what I did there in the video very slowly and figure out which ones are on the beats, which treble notes are on the beats, which ones are off, and kind of fit them around the bass line, which is always on the beat, 1, 2, 3, 4. So just take it slow and it'll come. Let me know if you've got any questions though. Thanks.